Hello and welcome to the France 24 interview. Our guest today is Iraq's Prime Minister, Mohammed Shia al-Sudani. Thank you very much, Mr. Prime Minister.
Welcome. Thank you.
You're here in Paris. You had dinner with the French president. Several agreements were signed, especially a strategic partnership agreement. So obviously there are many things in there, but is there especially more commitment that France will provide Iraq with more weapons, with more security support?
In the name of God, the most compassionate, the most merciful. Of course, our visit to France is a paradigm shift in the relations between Iraq and France. And it took a strategic path, actually, through the signing of the strategic partnership agreement. This agreement actually is a strategic, and it includes 50 items, covered all sectors and files, whether security, economic, social, cultural, educational sectors, huge, broad range of items and framework, and it is part of it. It's about security, the munitions and weapons that we are working to secure them for our security forces. To diversify the sources of our supply, because our security forces have experiences in French weapons.
Right. Talking about security, you recently said that the American troops would need to stay in Iraq because Daesh is still a threat. Obviously, some groups in Iraq are not in favor of this. Can you clarify, will the US troops remain for a long time? There's no limit to their presence on Iraqi soil?
Our actually stance is clear and solid that Iraq does not need combat troops, but Iraq needs cooperation with the international coalition led by the US and with all the countries that work in and have efforts against Daesh. The presence of the coalition, international coalition, is by the request, according to the request of the previous Iraqi government, and it's according to the political agreement that it will be according to a political dialogue, professional dialogue that will be determined by the official parties within the government about the number of advisors, about limiting, identifying the location, number, and the sectors, of course, especially in the training and sharing of exchange of information. The war against terrorism is different than before. There is no field activities on the ground, but there are groups that transfer from place to place that have activities outside the borders of Iraq that threaten not only the security of Iraq, but the security of the whole region. That is very obvious between the cooperation between our security forces and the friendly security apparatus, about the identifying the presence of the terrorists, about activities and their financiers. So we need a new type of relationship that is based on the cooperation, exchange of information, joint work, and also preserving and securing the sovereignty of Iraq on its air, land, and sea.
So there's no limit in the future for such a foreign presence in Iraq for now, because you need them, right?
The security, actually, the Security Council, National Security Council, is leading that file and will identify the sectors about the cooperation regarding activities against ISIS and preserving the sovereignty of Iraq.
Right. Aren't you concerned that some of the groups that form your coalition have said they're totally against the US staying in Iraq? We've seen some of them attacking bases where the US soldiers are. Do you fear that this could be the case again, or did you get guarantees from them that this will not happen again?
First of all, the official stance for all political forces, whether they are inside the parliament or outside, or in the government and outside the government and the parliament, actually that they don't allow to combat troops on Iraqi soil for the sovereignty of Iraq, and that's the popular stance. The political agreement between all the political forces, they say also the same thing. Our stance is very clear, and our vision is more clearer for this sensitive file. This file is very important to secure the security, the sovereignty of Iraq, and this is a popular demand and constitutional demand also.
Right. We're seeing tensions rise again between the United States and Iran. The nuclear talks between the West and Iran are going nowhere. There are further Western sanctions on Iran because of the protest movement of Ukraine and so on. Obviously, Iraq has sometimes borne the brunt of such tensions. Are you afraid that the escalation between the US and Iran could again be a problem for Iraqis directly on their soil?
Any tension between the United States of America and Iran, any tension between the regional countries, that will reflect on Iraq negatively. So our government, this is why our government has taken a balanced foreign policy to continue the good relationship with our brotherly nations and neighbors, according to the reciprocal respect, not interfering in the internal affairs. Iraq does not want to be part of the clash, and does not want to be that Iraqi soil a place for settling scores. The Iraqi government is looking forward for security, for stability, for development. We think that Iraq is the solution, is the key for the security of the whole region, and we are looking for the positive role that this role should be focused upon in creating a regional system that is according to the strategic development partnerships.
Iraq has organized meetings between Iran and Saudi Arabia, several ones. However, the last one was in April. You've said that you're hoping that this will happen again, but given the regional tensions we just talked about, do you have assurances by both sides that they will indeed again meet under the aegis of Iraq?
Since the first day that I assumed office, I was very serious on this file and then converging the view between the Islamic Republic of Iran and also this Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and other Arab nations. That's because we are keen to keep this relationship, this cooperation in order to de-escalate the tensions in the region, to achieve security. We have assurances from these countries, and we are continuing our efforts, and we will organize soon a meeting in Baghdad, inshallah.
You think that will happen soon, within the next few weeks?
Yes, the coming weeks, they are both countries, they are keen to resume these meetings under our auspices, and they were present in the Baghdad II conference in Amman. There was a chance to talk about that thing, and I think there is a desire to keep that cooperation under the auspices of Iraq.
Both Iran and Turkey have been targeting Kurdish groups inside Iraq in the border area, sometimes killing civilians. Is this acceptable for a sovereign country like Iraq, having their neighbors, throw missiles, sometimes bomb with planes on your soil? I mean, you're the prime minister. Aren't you supposed to prevent this?
Yes, certainly. It's not accepted thing, and we have official stance against that. Some of these stands they were submitted to the Security Council as reports and the UN, and there were sessions held, and we reject any attack on the sovereignty of Iraq, and we will seek any diplomatic means to stop these violations. We believe that dialogue is the way to communicate with Turkey and Iran in solving these difficulties, and we have actually went wide stride into dialogue with the security committees and also the national security councils. We focused on the presence of border guards to secure the borders and to prevent any attacks on Iraq and especially from Turkey and Iran. We think we have very excellent relations with Turkey and Iran, and we think these kind of relations will be the solution according to the principle of respecting the sovereignty of Iraq.
Speaking of the Kurdish region, there are tensions for years with the Kurdish regional government. A recent decision by Iraq's top court suspending essentially the handing of revenues from Baghdad to Erbil has prompted vivid criticism by the Kurdish leadership, say it could threaten obviously the relationship, political stability. You've said that you want to solve this issue once and for all. It sounds like it's mission impossible.
Certainly, this government adopts the adherent to the political agreement that is included in the ministerial program voted by the parliament, and we have been working for the previous 3 months in putting a roadmap to solve this pending difficulty that has been for a long time. We are going now to present the law of the budget that will solve a huge part of this financial transfer according to the law and the constitution, and we are going to work on the hydrocarbon law that organize the relation between the federal government and the KRG and also the other provinces that are producing oil. This is according to the constitution. I am as the head of the government. I am keen on meeting the demands of people, whether in Kurdistan, Anbar, Basra, providing the salaries, and this is my moral and ethical responsibility.
Mr. Prime Minister, I want to thank you very much for granting us this interview during your visit here to Paris, and thank you all for watching it. Stay tuned for more news on France 24.